we are going to be drawing a puppy. Except those of you who have joined me for our last couple of sessions will be able to tell you that it is not just one puppy. It is many puppies. So let's take a look here. So if we start with our paper straight up and down, I'm going to fold straight down, make that crease, take the front part of that flap and fold it up to the fold and crease. So it'll look like this, just like when we did our shark a couple weeks ago. Alrighty, so we are going to start with our first puppy. Alrighty, so our very first step is going to be the eyes, okay? Just like we've been doing our eyes, we're gonna start pretty close to this bottom fold, so make sure that you kind of have your eye on where that fold is. I'm gonna put my finger on it so I know exactly where it is. I'm gonna draw my two nice big eyes. One of them's a little bit bigger than the other, that's okay. With those highlight circles, and then you can fill those in. Keep in mind that if you're filling in your eyes like this, you may want to unfold your paper while you fill it in so you don't get any of your ink bleeding through to the rest of your flaps. So you should have two nice big puppy eyeballs. And then right in between those eyeballs, we need to draw our puppy's nose and mouth. So we're going to draw kind of a little V in the middle. And then we're going to round it off on the top. It almost looks like a little beak. I'm going to fill mine in. I want my puppy's nose to be black. You can leave yours white if you want your puppy's nose to be pink or something later on. And after you draw the nose, we're going to draw two little kind of J shapes to make the mouth. And while I'm drawing mine, I'm kind of thinking of my puppies, and they always have their tongue out. So I'm going to add a tongue on mine. So for this next part, we're going to cross down over that fold onto our bottom, the bottom part of our paper. So make sure that you are crossing over for this next part. So now we're going to draw the underside of our puppy's chin, the bottom of his face. So I'm going to start kind of off to the side of his eyes. I'm going to draw two little dots just so I know kind of where to start and stop. And I'm going to draw kind of a U shape that goes down over that fold. Okay, it's important that it goes down over that fold because we'll need this for later on. And at the top of our little U shapes, we're going to kind of come in just a little bit. And then that's where we'll draw our ears. Once you draw your ears, then you can draw the rest of the puppy's head. Kind of looks a little foxy right now. That's okay. It won't look foxy forever. And like I said, our first dog, or actually I haven't told you yet, our first dog is, if I can find this one, he's kind of a husky. He looks a little bit like a husky. So if you know, if you've seen Miss Van Schaik's dog, Luna, it kind of looks a little bit like Luna. So huskies have kind of that cool gray and white kind of shading on their face. So part of his face is going to be white and part will be gray. And that's if you choose to make yours look like a husky. Mine will look like a husky, but yours is up to you because you're the artist. I'm just showing you how to draw it. So I'm going to start from this little line next to the ear, and I'm going to draw kind of a curve that goes over to the nose. I'm going to draw another one from the other side. So they kind of look like eyebrows, and then in the middle, got another little bump. So it kind of looks like it's going over his snout. And the inside of the ears. And if you joined us for the fox, the ears are going to be very similar with that kind of spiky looking fluff on the inside of the ears. Then we're going to move down to the bottom part of our page for our dog's body. So, sorry, let me get my husky out for reference for me. So we're going to start on his chin. We're going to draw 2 lines that come down kind of on a curve for his body. And right in the middle, we'll draw his 2 little front paws by making 2 U shapes. I'm going to add little lines to show his toes. Then he needs some bottom feet, so we're going to draw kind of almost a teardrop shape that's on its side for his other 2 paws. In the middle, in between his 2 front paws, you can draw kind of another curved line for his little belly. Then, because our dog is kind of multicolors, it's kind of gray and white if you're going with the husky look, we're going to draw some little kind of zigzags to show kind of where the edges of that color is. Notice on my original one, he's got little zigzags to show where his white spots and his darker spots are. And of course, every dog needs a tail. So you can choose which side you want your dog's tail to go on. Mine's going to go off on the right side. I'm going to draw a nice big fluffy tail. Once you've drawn that, we're going to open up our fold. And I know it looks like he's a super long-faced dog. Don't worry, he won't look like that forever. So we are going to finish kind of our bottom dog, the dog that's on the bottom of our stack. So we are going to do our bottom, the dog on the bottom of our stack looks kind of like a border collie. So they're very fluffy, and so he's going to have kind of a little spiky shaped face. So I'm going to start by drawing kind of a little triangle shape, and then a bigger one, and then kind of another small one. I'm going to do that on both sides. It's okay if they're not perfectly the same size because sometimes a dog's fluff is more fluffy on one side of his head than on the other. And from the top of those two, that's where we'll draw our ears and the top of his head, just like we did with our husky, our top dog. And the inside of his ears are gonna look pretty similar to the inside of the husky ears. And the rest of our husky, or sorry, the rest of our border collie is going to be exactly the same as our husky. It's just his face. So his eyes, nose, mouth, and if you want him to have a tongue, he can have a tongue. And then we'll add the shading on his face after. For this part though, when you're drawing his face, you wanna make sure that his eyes and his mouth and his tongue don't cross over that fold. So you wanna make sure that you're checking to make sure that it's not going too low. So I did mine a little bit low, so mine's not gonna have a big tongue out. It's just gonna have kind of a little kind of mlem. And I'll color in his eyes. And for the shading of this dog's face, I'm going to kind of take note of where the top of my husky's face is and where it meets the bottom of this dog's face. So it's right above where these little kind of fluffy pieces are. So from there, I'm going to draw kind of two lines that go up because part of his face is going to be black and part of his face will be white. Okay, so it'll look kind of like this after he's colored. So we have our husky, well, part of our husky, and our border collie. So the next dog that we will have in our stack, our middle dog, is kind of a bulldog looking dog. Maybe a bulldog, kind of looks kind of like a pug, kind of up to you. So his face is gonna look a little bit different than our husky and our border collie's faces. So I'm gonna put him right around the middle. I wanna make sure that I have enough space above him for the rest of my husky's body and enough below him for the rest of his body. So I'm gonna go kind of right in the middle and I'm gonna give him his big eyeballs, but his are gonna be a little bit closer together than these two. And then right in between his eyes, like I said, his mouth is gonna look a little bit different than the other two dogs' mouths. Right in between his eyes, we're gonna draw a bigger circle. That's gonna be for the snout, right? They have that kind of squishy looking face. And then we'll draw that same kind of triangle shape. And I'm gonna draw an upside down U shape the line to connect, and he's going to have his tongue out too. I'm going to leave this dog's nose white because I'm going to color it pink when I color my dogs. But it is up to you. If you want yours to be black, you can color it in black now, or you can leave it so you can color it in a different color later. Then for the rest of his face, we're going to draw another U shape that goes underneath our pug's face. Goes from maybe about there to there. And then I'm going to draw his ears. So I'm going to start from about here, and I'm going to make kind of, they're almost like little backwards sixes almost, or very like floppy looking sixes. And then I'll connect the top of his head. And then I'm going to draw a line that kind of goes around his face because he's going to have a big spot over one eye. And I know this one is going a little bit longer than we normally do. So I hope that everybody can stay on. If you can't, if you have something that you got to get to, make sure that you look out for the replay that I will be posting later today. I'll send it to everyone's teachers to make sure that they all have it as well, just in case you have to run because you have another meeting or you have something else that you got to do today. So for our bulldog's body, we're going to draw two lines that go all the way down to our border collie. Because he's kind of sitting on top of him. And then he's got his two little paws. One of my paws is going to go behind my border collie's ear, so you can't see all of it. And I'll draw two little toes too. And since his face is going to have that big spot, I'm going to draw a couple of other little spots on his body too. You don't have to, it is completely up to you. And then his tail, since I did my border collie's tail off to the right, I'm going to do my bulldog's tail off to the left. And they have more of like a skinny, kind of a skinny little tail. Not as big and fluffy as the other tails, or as the border collie's tail. And finally, we're going to get to finish the husky's body. He's not just going to be a head floating up there. So when you're ready, you can finish connecting the bottom of your husky's face. Just make sure that it goes below that fold line just a little bit. So then our husky's body is going to be right on top of our bulldog's body. So we're going to draw two more lines that go straight down, and they're going to go straight down on top of the bulldog. And just like we did with the bulldog, we're going to have his two paws that are kind of on top of the bulldog's head. And very similar to the Border Collie, we're gonna have those kind of zigzag lines to show the fluff. And the last step of our husky is the husky's tail. So our husky's tail is going to be big and fluffy. If you have ever gotten a chance to see a husky, you know how big and fluffy their tails are. So I'm gonna draw a nice big fluffy tail with some kind of spiky looking fluffs on it. And that, my friends, is one big old stack of puppies. So if you fold it down, right, it looks like he's just this husky, but then you open him up and he's got his friends there. I'm gonna switch this back over to my original. That is our puppy stack. So make sure that you send a picture, or I know a couple of people when we did the shark, they sent videos of themselves kind of opening and closing